Hey there, fellow van builders. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jason, the van teacher. In this video, I'll talk about where and how to house your van's freshwater system. You have several options for building a space for your water tank, pump, and water lines. For my system, I chose to build a cabinet on the passenger side surrounding the wheel well. The enclosure for my water system is nearly identical to the enclosure for my electrical system. The two enclosures create a mounting platform for my bed and define the garage area. Here are a few reasons why I prefer this location and enclosure style. First, I like to keep the utilities for the van in the garage area. The garage is finished with durable materials, is easily accessible, and is isolated from the living space. Keeping the water pump in an enclosure in the garage minimizes noise. It also makes filling the water tank from the back door quick and easy. The space above the wheel well is perfectly suited for a water tank, as the tank's width closely matches the wheel well width, and the combined height is an ideal garage height and bed height. I also like keeping all of the water system components inside the van to reduce the risk of a frozen tank or pipes in cold weather. Before constructing the enclosure, I installed extra layers of insulation to help keep the tank and associated plumbing protected from cold weather. I also took time to completely soundproof the walls and especially the wheel wells using 80 mil sound deadening rubber adhesive. The first step in constructing an enclosure is to take several measurements of the space you plan to install it in. Since I want my enclosure to be the sidewalls of my garage, as well as the support base for my bed, the dimensions were determined by these constraints. My enclosure is 10 inches wide by 48 inches long by 36 inches tall. This is large enough to house my 21-gallon tank, water pump, and plumbing, and has small storage compartments on both sides of the wheel well. I chose to also install a garage spray port on the back side of the enclosure. The pump switch is installed on the back side as well, along with a few other utility switches. Once the overall dimensions have been determined, I framed the enclosure using 2-inch by 3-inch lumber and 3/4-inch sanded plywood. The 21-gallon water tank will weigh nearly 170 pounds when full, and the frame must be able to support this weight. I found it easier to build some of the frame in place, install the water tank, and then build the remaining parts of the frame around the tank. It is very important to secure the enclosure to the van's frame, as well as secure the tank inside the frame. To accomplish this, I used rivet nuts and 1/4-inch bolts to secure the enclosure to the frame, and metal straps to secure the tank to the van's frame before fully enclosing it in the cabinet. The rest of the frame is put together using construction screws and wood glue. Although it would be time-consuming, it is possible to disassemble the enclosure and remove the tank for cleaning. Depending on how well you care for your tank, you may want to make removal more of a priority in the design. To finish the enclosure, I used common outdoor carpeting and floor adhesive to cover the plywood panels before attaching them to the enclosure frame. I made a door to provide easy access to the tank fittings, water pump, and plumbing. You may also want to rough in some of your water lines and electrical cables before finishing out the enclosure. As I mentioned earlier, I installed a spray port to the back of the enclosure and a set of 3 wall switches. The enclosure is also a great place to add a hanging tool organizer, storage baskets, tie-down anchors, or a fire extinguisher. I installed a round marine hatch-style door for storing things like extra hose, RV antifreeze, spare parts, and other plumbing-related items. To trim the base of the enclosure, I ran a bead of silicone caulking around the entire perimeter and then attached PVC trim molding. In my next video in this series, I will cover the fittings on your water tank and how to connect your tank to a pump, fill and drain lines, and how to vent your tank. If you would like to learn more about van conversions, check out my videos on electrical systems, including installing solar-powered DC-to-DC chargers, shore power, and choosing the right wire size. If you would like to know how much we spent on our van, check out my video on how much our 2023 Ram ProMaster cost to build. Also, check out the links in the description below for more information on any of the products mentioned in this video. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.